Hey teachers! In this video, I want to share a program with you that I've been using a lot the past couple of months to create interactive presentations for students. And the cool thing is when I talk about this program with a lot of my teacher friends, they've never heard of it. So I'm so excited to share something new with you today that I think will be really helpful. So over the past few months, so many teachers have been moving to online learning. And for me as a curriculum developer, I've been having to convert so many curriculums and programs to online platforms. And one of the top platforms that we've been using to do this is Genially. Now, if you have not heard of Genially, that's okay. Genially is a platform that allows you to create interactive presentations for your students. And with these programs, you can create drag and drop. Students can draw on the slides. You can create clickable features. You can add audio. You can create quizzes. There's literally so much you can do. And best of all, Genially provides a lot of the templates and different things that you need to make your presentations really engaging and professional looking. So in this video, this is going to be the first part of a series of videos we're doing all about Genially. And in this video, I'm going to jump on my computer and I'm going to show you the basics. So how do you get started creating your interactive presentation? And then once you're finished creating that presentation, how do you share it with your students? Because Genially is also really great that it has lots of options for sharing with students. You can upload it to an LMS, you can share it in Google Classroom, it will give you scripts so you can embed it on a site, you can just email it to your students. Pretty much any option you can think of is available. So let's go ahead and jump on my computer right now and let's go over the basics of Genially. This is what it looks like inside of my Genially dashboard. And let's say that I want to create an interactive presentation about ancient Egypt. To get started, I'm going to click on this button that says Create Genially. And then what I recommend you do is click on Presentation. And when you click on this, it's going to pull up all of these pre-made templates. Now, any that have a star next to them, these are premium templates, which means that you do have to have a paid account to use those. If they do not have a star on them, they're free to everyone. Now, I do have a premium account. I find that in my curriculum work, I've been using this so much lately that it is definitely worth it for me to have it, and I just get access to so many other really cool templates that way. But I'm gonna scroll through all of the templates right now and see if I can find something that relates to Egypt in some way, and when I see something, I can always edit it too. Oh, here's a couple that might work really good. And well, here it is, Egypt presentation. Let's go with this one. So once you click on any of the presentations, it's gonna give you a preview. So let's say I wasn't really sure if this was the template that I wanted to use. I could scroll through and see what some of the different slides look like in the template. And then when I'm ready, I'm gonna click Use this template. And when you click this, it will then let you determine, okay, do you just want a few of the slides from the options to choose from, or you can select all of them. What I usually do is I go ahead and select all of them so that when I'm working, they're there, and then at the end, I just delete anything that I didn't use. So then you're just gonna click Add, and it is going to go ahead and start setting that template up inside of the creation area. And sometimes it will take a minute to pull it up. Okay, here we go. So before I start creating, I want to let you know what each of these tabs off to the side mean. The first one is your text tab. So if you want to add any text to your slide, all you're going to do is just click on the one that you want. So if I want this subheading font, I would just click and it will appear there. It's also got some really fun fonts and layouts that you can use. The only thing that I encourage you is, while some of these are really fun, like this one, but it's not necessarily the most accessible fonts, particularly for our dyslexic students. That might be hard to read. So make sure when you're choosing a font that you choose one that's easy for all of your students to read. Now, when you click on a font, so let's just say I had this one and I was going to use it. If you look at the bar up here at the top, you can change the font color, you can change the actual font, you can change the size, make it bold, do any of these things that you want, play with spacing. But anytime you click on a text box, all of these options will appear here in the top bar. All right, the next thing is images, and you've got a couple of options here, and we'll look closer at these in a minute when we start creating the presentation. But Genially actually has some free stock photo sites embedded in the program, so you can pull stock photos from Unsplash or Pixabay. You can pull GIFs, which students really enjoy, and put those straight into your presentation. You can also click here to upload an image that's already on your computer. The next tab is resources, and in this you're gonna have all kinds of things that you can add, like shapes and icons, lines, illustrations, just things to make the presentation more visually appealing and fun. And with most of these things, you can also play with the colors and everything on them as well. Now, the great thing about Genially is this is truly an interactive presentation. Your students are going to be able to click on things and things will happen. And so when you click on the interactive elements, these are the types of buttons that you're going to incorporate so that when they click on it, something happens. And there's also this cool option down here called the invisible area. So let's say these pyramids, I could create an invisible box over the pyramid so the students wouldn't actually see those, but then I could put an interactive there so that when they hovered their mouse over that invisible box, something would happen. So these are all kinds of different interactive things you can experiment with. The next tab is Smart Blocks, and I'm going to be honest, because I work mostly with elementary students, I don't use the Smart Blocks a whole lot because this is going to be like tables and graphs and different things like that. And I find that a lot of this stuff is a little too advanced for my elementary students. But if you're working with older students, there are some fun things that might work really great in your presentations. Next, we have Insert, and this is where you'll add audio and video to your presentation. We're going to have another video coming out soon where we will get into specifically how to add audio to the presentation, but this is where you're going to go to do that. Next, you have backgrounds, and I'm probably not going to be using this that much in this presentation because I am using a template and a lot of the backgrounds are already created for me within the template. But for your background, you can upload an image that's already on your computer. You can pick a solid color. There's stock images. One thing I will show you that's pretty cool is if you go to the library section and click on Show More and then click on Animate It, and they all have this like purple icon in the upper corner. All of these backgrounds are ones that move. So if you use any of these, know that these backgrounds are moving and it just kind of makes it more visual and engaging for your students. I love using these. All right, now Pages is where you're going to keep coming back to all the time, and that's going to bring this up so you can scroll through your presentation and see what you have so far. But these are all of the different tabs and what they do. So now I want to go ahead and start actually creating my presentation. Now, this template did a nice job of already giving me a good title slide, so there's not a whole lot that I need to do here. I will say that I wish Egypt was a little bit easier to read. It looks like there's a transparency on it. So to play with transparency, you can click on this here. And yes, there is transparency on it. So I'm going to take some of that off, and I'm going to do that because it's a whole lot easier for my students to read. I don't need a subtitle. Now the only thing is this is going to be Ancient Egypt. So I'm going to just add Ancient up here at the top, and I'm going to change it to black. And then I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to center it. And you'll notice that Genially will pull up lines on your slide all the time like I just had there to show me that it is centered. Now the last thing I'm going to do is a lot of times on my title slide, I like to add in an interactive element to let students know, like, click here to start. So I'm gonna click on show more and see if I can find a button that says start. This one is perfect. And okay, so I've got that centered, but I wanna change it to a color that matches a little bit better. Let's use this one. And then I need to make the arrow white. Perfect. Okay, now we need to make sure that when they click this start button, it actually goes places. So anytime you want to add interactivity to a button or an element on your slide, what you're gonna do is you're gonna click on that element, and then you're gonna click on this icon that has like the pointer finger, and it's gonna give you 4 options. The first one is a tooltip. And what this means is when the student hovers over it, so they don't have to click, there's going to be some kind of box that appears with information or a picture. The next option is window. And window is similar to tooltip, except for the students actually have to click on it for the box to appear. And usually what I recommend doing is if it's just a very small piece of information, use the tooltip. If it's a longer piece of information, use the window. Now the next option is go to page, and what that means is that when students click on one of these buttons, it is automatically going to go to another page within the presentation. So this is the one that we're going to use in just a second. And then the last option is link. And what this allows you to do is link to a website or a completely different page. So let's say there's a primary source that you want your students to read. You can link to that primary source within your presentation. So for my start button, I'm going to click go to page. And I already know that the next page in my presentation is going to be my index page. So I am going to click on that. And what that just did was it attached that page to this button. So if I click on preview, which is this eye icon at the top, oh, I need to name it first. We'll just call it Ancient Egypt. Okay, so now I can preview it, and you'll notice that when I click on start, it automatically goes to that page that I linked it to. Okay, let's keep designing. I'm gonna click on pages, and I'm gonna go to that index page now. Now the first thing I want to do is change this font because I had mentioned accessibility, and I think this font is really hard to read. I could see my dyslexic students having a hard time reading that D. So let's just change this to an easy to read font. That one looks pretty simple, perfect. Okay, now I am only gonna have 2 pages that I'm gonna set up. I'm gonna have, or 2 sections in my presentation that I'm gonna set up. I'm gonna have a section about geography, and then I'm gonna have a section about leadership. So I'm only really gonna need 2 boxes, and I wanna get rid of the rest. So if I wanna get rid of a lot of things, I can always just highlight a section and then delete that section. And then I'll delete this one. Now, I am going to create 2 boxes and then link the different parts of my presentation to those boxes so that if students click on the box that says geography, they can go straight to the geography section. If they click on the part that says leadership, they can go straight to the section to learn about the pharaohs. So to do that, what I'm going to do is, first of all, these boxes and the text are all grouped together, and it's not going to let me edit if they're all grouped together. So to ungroup something, if something is grouped, this circle with the dots is going to be purple. If things are not grouped, it will be white. So I want to ungroup those things. And you'll notice now it's white because those things aren't grouped anymore. And I'm also going to ungroup these things. Okay, now since we've only got 2 boxes on the screen, I want to make these a little bit bigger. And actually what I might do to make it easier and to make sure they're the same is I am just going to click this box and then hit Control C to copy it. and then Control V to paste it. So that way I can make sure they're exactly the same size. And then I will go ahead and add my text to each of these. This one's going to be geography. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, make it easier for students to read. And I'm just going to center that. And then the next one is going to be leadership. And I will make this one a little bit bigger as well. And you'll notice this is behind the box. Anytime you want to change the ordering of things and how things are layered, just click on what you want to arrange and then click on this ordering icon at the top. And I want to bring this to front. So I'm going to click here and then I'm going to line these up. That looks perfect. Now the only other thing is I think it would be more visually appealing to have some icons on the boxes as well, something a little visual to tell students what to do. So I'm going to click on resources and we've got all these icons here. Actually this globe one is great for geography. So I'm going to add this here, make it a little bigger. And then let's find something to go with leadership. So we'll say show more, and then we will try to find an icon that works for leadership. Maybe a gavel because the leader makes laws and decisions for everybody. So we'll do that. Now, for right now, I'm just gonna leave this as it is, and then I'm gonna come back to it because right now I don't have pages that I can link these things to. So I'm gonna come back and link these in just a moment. But I do like to give each section of a presentation like a title slide. So I'm gonna change this to geography. Once again, I'm gonna change this font just because while it looks really cool, it's not super accessible for all of my students. I think this was the one I used before. And I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger since it's a title slide. Okay, perfect. Now, what I want to do is I want to create a slide of Africa, and then students have to click on Egypt. So I'm just gonna use one of these templates that's already here, and I'm just gonna delete what's on this, and I'm going to add my own information. So I'm gonna put a map of Africa in just a second, but the instructions are going to be click on Egypt. I'm gonna make this bigger. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna have here. Now we're going to pull in an image from my computer. If I click on images, I have already saved an image of Egypt to my computer. So I'm just gonna click here and I am going to pull in this image of Africa, and then I'm just gonna click it for it to appear on the slide. Now, what I want to do is I want to add some interactive elements so that students can actually interact with this map. So this one right here will work fine. I'm gonna take a few of these. This will be the correct answer here. I'm gonna put it over top of Egypt, and then I want some distractors as well. So I'm just gonna copy and paste the distractors in a few different places. And I'll put one more distractor down. Okay, so now when students come to this slide, they're gonna be able to click on the different icons to find where Africa is at. Now these two are incorrect, so I am going to add in, remember if I wanna make these interactive, I'm going to click on them and then click the pointer. And I'm going to add a window that lets them know that they need to try again. So I'm gonna center it, I'm gonna make it bold and big so it's easy to read. And I'm going to say, try again. And I'm gonna do the same thing for this other distractor. And I could always add more information as well, such as what the country is that they're actually clicking on. And then since this one is the correct answer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send them to the next page in the presentation where I'll provide more information about the geography of Egypt. So I'm just going to send them to the next page in the presentation when they click on that. Now, if you click up here to preview it, you can always test what the students are seeing. Let's see, I need to bring this down because it is cut off the slide. I put it a little too high up there. So I'm gonna highlight everything. And that's why it's a good idea to always preview. All right, let's preview it again. Okay, that's much better. So you can see that when I click on any of the distractors, try again is going to come up. And when I click on the correct answer, it's going to take me to the next slide. And on this slide, I'm going to put in information about Egypt. So let's go ahead. If there's already a picture there, you can either delete it and add in your own picture, or you can replace the picture, and I can replace it with something from my computer. I've already got a picture of Egypt. Click on it and click replace. And then I can crop it and click the check mark. Okay, so for this, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get rid of all of this text. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this bigger. And I want the students to be able to click on different places on the map to learn about the geography of Egypt. So once again, I can use the interactive tools, and maybe we'll use markers this time. And I can just do one with a dot. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these markers in some different places. Make it a little bit bigger. There we go. I'm going to copy it and paste it. And then I want to do another one up here around Giza. And what I'm going to do this time is when students click on each of these, an image is going to pop up of that geographical location. So for this one, I'm going to add an interactive element. I'm going to add a window, and I'm going to add in a picture of the Nile. And I've already got one on my computer, so I'm going to save that. Now for this other one, I'm going to add in a picture of the pyramids of Giza. So I clicked on window, insert image, and I've got a picture saved of the pyramids of Giza. And I'm going to click save. Now, if I want to preview how that works, I'm just going to click up here, and we can see that when students click on these different icons, they'll see those pictures. Now, you could also add in some fun facts, like I could add a sentence under this picture that says the Nile River is the longest river in the world. Those are other ways that you can make the presentation have more information. We're just kind of moving through this quickly. Okay, so that's everything that I'm going to do with geography. Now I want to add in my section about leadership. So what you can always do, because I want to add a title slide with leadership, so I can just duplicate the geography slide that I made previously, drag it to where I want the leadership section to start, and then just change this to leadership. Okay, now I am going to add in, we'll use this template, and like I said, anytime you want to use a slide, you can just drag it. So I'm going to drag this one up and use it as a template for this section. There we go. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to add in a picture that I have from my computer of a pharaoh. So I'm going to add this one in and replace it. I can crop it and click the check mark. Okay, so I've got this here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of information about pharaohs. It here. I'm also going to align this off to the side. Okay, I'm going to change it to a font that's a little bit easier to read. I think this is the one I've been using. For the sake of time, I'm just going to put information about pharaohs, but here I would actually type out some information. And then what I want to do to make this slide interactive is I am going to add in a button so that students can learn more info about pharaohs. And I'm going to link that to another site. So let's use this info button, and I'm going to change the color so that it matches a little better. We'll make the plus sign white. Now for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link this to an outside site so that students will go to that site and read more information. So I'm going to click on this. We're going to click that interactive icon again, and I'm going to click link. And I've got another tab pulled up with information about pharaohs that is written for children. So I'm gonna paste that link in here. And then I always select open in a new tab because that will keep your Genially presentation open in one tab, and then it will open up the source that you want students to read in a different tab. So that way they don't lose the presentation. And then you're just gonna click save. Now I'm gonna go back to pages, and there is one other thing that I want to show you, and that is a video. I'm gonna drag this up. Okay, I'm not going to edit this, but I just wanted to show you that if you want to add a video to your presentation, so let's say I had an age-appropriate video about pharaohs that I wanted to add right here. If I click insert and then click on video, you can click on YouTube and actually embed videos into the presentation directly from YouTube. You can also upload videos that you have saved on your computer. So I just wanted to show you that real quick in case you want to add a video. Now, all of these other slides I'm not going to use. Remember I said I always upload all of the slides from the template and then delete out the ones that I don't use. So I'm just going to delete the rest of these by clicking the trash can icon on each of them. Okay, now the very last thing that I have to do before this is finished was, remember I said at the beginning, once I finished creating, I needed to make sure I link each of these boxes to the correct page. So when students click on this, I want them to be able to go to the geography section. So I'm going to click on the box, and actually I want to make sure all of this is grouped. So if they click on the text, the icon, the box, any of that will take them to the correct section. So click on the box and then hit Control and hold Control down and click on each of the other elements, and then click this little circle icon to group them all together. And we're going to do the same thing with leadership. We're going to group those all together. Now I'm going to link each of these to the correct place. So I'm going to click on this, click the interactive icon, go to page, and we want that box to link to the geography page. And then we're going to do the same thing over here, but we're going to link it to the leadership page. Okay, now this presentation is essentially finished. There is just one thing that I want to show you before we preview it and then share it with students. And that is, first of all, next to each of these slides, you will notice a little wand. If you click on this wand, this will allow you to decide how it transitions from one slide to the other. So I don't really have any special transitions on this presentation, but you can see if I hover over any of these, you'll notice that this models what it would do. So if I had this transition on, this is how it would transition between the slides. So that's one other thing you can do. Another way that you can kind of animate your slides, if you click on anything, text, images, interactive elements, buttons, anything on a slide, you will always notice this little icon here that's like a circle with lines behind it. This tells you how things will appear on the slide. So if you click on entrance, you can hover over different things to see how it will appear on the slide. I don't have any of these animations turned on right now, but you can play with this to make it more fun. You can also click on continuous, and basically that means that whatever element it is will constantly move. So sometimes this will work with images you have on a slide to have them constantly moving. You can also click hover mouse, and anytime a student moves a mouse over something, an image or text, it can do one of these things. So those are just two other things that I wanted to show you. Now this presentation is essentially done, so I want to go ahead and preview it and show you what it looks like all together. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how these presentations work. Now, when you are ready to share with students, you're gonna click All Set, and it's automatically going to be public unless you have a paid account. Then you can change it to private, and you're going to click All Set, and then it will give you a couple of different options. If you click Present, this will just pull the presentation up in another slide. So if you are in a classroom and you have it pulled up on a smart board, or if you're teaching on Zoom, you could share your screen and present it that way. If you click Download, this will allow you to download the presentation directly to your computer, and then you can upload it in different places. And then last is Share, and this will give you all kinds of information. You can copy the link, and then you can send that link to your students through email or post it in Google Classroom or in an LMS. There's Insert, and this will give you script. So if you are working in an LMS, you can actually embed this directly inside of your LMS, which is awesome. Here is an email that you can send, so you can put all your students' email addresses. You're probably not going to share it with them on social networks, but that is an option. And then here are options to share directly inside of Google Classroom or Teams. So that is how you will share your presentation with your students when you are finished. If you are teaching, and especially if you're teaching remotely, I think Genially is a tool that you are going to love, and I think that your students are really going to love it too. Compared to some other options like Google Slides and different things, the templates and the backgrounds that are available inside of Genially just make the presentation so easy to create and so professional looking. So I highly recommend it. And if you are really interested in Genially, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, because like I said at the beginning, this is the first in a series of videos that we're creating. We've got some more videos that are going to be released throughout the next month that are going to show you how to create assessments in Genially, how to add some of those drag and drop and coloring features, and how to add audio. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel so that you do not miss out on any of those. And until next time, happy teaching!